All right, so today we're diving into something that I think a lot of our listeners are going to find super interesting.
Yeah.
It's about starting a bakery business online.
Online specifically.
And the crazy part is, like, doing it without any money up front,
Zero capital.
which honestly sounds too good to be true.
Right.
But there's this website,
Yeah.
ebuyerbaker.com.
ebuyerbaker.com.
And apparently they're saying that this is like the key to like unlocking this whole
Wow.
baking empire without needing like, a huge loan or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like sidestepping all those, financial hurdles that usually come with like opening up a shop or, a food business or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to like dig into this, like how ebuyerbaker.com actually says they can do this.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
And then like what it means for people who, just love to bake and think that they could, make some money off of it.
Yeah, because everyone's got that friend or family member who's like,
oh, you're
amazing baker.
Oh my gosh.
Who you're always like, you should sell this stuff.
My mom is that person.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe they actually could with this.
So it seems like the big thing here is that ebuyerbaker.com lets you connect with customers.
Yeah.
Way beyond your, your neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah, much wider net.
Yeah, like they say it could be nationwide.
Nationwide, even international. Wow, international.
So how does that change the game for someone who wants to sell like cookies or cakes or whatever?
I mean, it's huge, right? Because like you were saying before, usually you're limited to just like your local area.
Word of mouth and
right, exactly.
Farmers markets maybe.
Yeah, farmers markets, maybe a little local shop,
Right.
But this is, like you said, nationwide, even international.
Yeah.
So your market is exponentially bigger.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting, I think, for home bakers.
So instead of like renting a storefront.
Exactly.
Which is expensive.
Which is so expensive.
And buying all this equipment, they're basically just using your kitchen.
Right, using what you have.
And your skills. Yeah.
To reach like a global market, potentially.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So how does the no money up front thing actually work?
I mean, presumably it's like any other, online platform.
Okay.
Where you would, list your goods.
Okay.
Take pictures, make them look beautiful.
So you make a little profile.
Make a little profile. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then people can order directly through the site.
Okay.
And eBuyerBaker probably takes a cut.
So they're like the middleman.
They're the middleman, yeah.
Okay.
Which, kind of makes sense because they're providing the platform, the marketing, the payment processing, all that stuff.
Right. And so then you only have to buy ingredients.
Exactly.
When someone orders something.
Once you have an order, you go out.
So you don't have to
You don't have to have a stock.
Stock up on flour and sugar. And...
Yeah, exactly. And hope that it sells. Right. But you already have a buyer.
So for the listener out there, imagine you could just test out your recipes.
Right.
Like see if your sourdough bread is actually...
Yeah. Would people in, California buy my New York style bagels?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you'd have to like invest thousands of dollars to find that out.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what are the downsides of this?
Right.
Like, is there anything that a baker loses by not...
Yeah, I think that's a really important question to ask.
Yeah.
Because, it sounds great. Like no upfront costs, reach a wider audience.
Yeah.
But you're also, kind of giving up some control.
Okay.
You're at the whim of the platform.
Great.
So, their rules, their fees, their algorithms.
And what if ebuyerbaker.com...
Right. What if they change things?
Decides to,
jack up their prices.
Yeah.
Or change how they do their marketing.
Right. Or they go out of business.
Exactly.
And then what happens to your whole business is gone.
Business. Yeah. So it's like you're trading...
You're trading the initial cost.
The initial cost.
For potential limitations later on.
For, maybe less control, less independence in the long run.
Yeah, like you don't get to build your own brand.
Right.
And the same.
And the customer relationships are also mediated through the platform.
So you don't.
So you don't have that direct connection.
You don't get their email address.
Or the email address, yeah.
Anything.
It's all through ebuyerbaker.
Right.
Yeah.
So this has been a really interesting deep dive.
I think so.
It seems like platforms like ebuyerbaker.com, they could really change how people start businesses.
Absolutely.
Especially in like the food world.
Yeah.
Where it's usually so expensive to get started.
Yeah.
But listeners, I want you to think about this. Like, what could you do?
Yeah.
If you didn't need thousands of dollars to start your dream business?
Right.
Like, what would you create? What kind of crazy cake would you sell to the world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's something to really consider.
Definitely.